Well, good morning once again, and today I greet you from a very cold and a very wet Pretoria. I must say I've never known Pretoria or even Gauteng to be so wet at this time of the year. It's getting almost towards winter, and we really have had such a lot of rain. But that's how the Lord has ordained it, and we are thankful for His providence in whatever form it comes to us. And we look to Him to be our strength and our guide in every circumstance. Now today we're looking at the theme of Christ's power from the perspective of the New Testament. And I'm going to look this morning at a passage which shows us an unexpected and almost paradoxical aspect of the power of Christ. And that is the way Christ's power is demonstrated in our lives in the midst of our weakness. So often when we think about the power of Christ, we think that He is the ruler over all things. He has been given the position of ultimate authority at God's right hand, and all things are subject to Him, whether earthly rulers, whether disease, whether Satan and evil spirits, all things are subject to Christ. And sometimes we think that that means that His power must be shown by simply removing all hardship and evil from our lives and making things easy for us. And yet Paul in 2 Corinthians 12 shows us that in actual fact, in this present world, Christ's power is demonstrated in the midst of our weakness. And so let me read for you from 2 Corinthians 12. And I'm reading from verse 7. Let's read the passage together, and then I'll just make a few comments on it. So to keep me from becoming conceited because of the surpassing greatness of the revelations, Paul had been given some sublime revelations of heaven, and he said that these, because he was in danger of becoming proud from these revelations, God gave him a hardship. He says, to keep me from becoming conceited because of the surpassing greatness of the revelations, a thorn was given to me in the flesh, a messenger of Satan to harass me, to keep me from becoming conceited. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord about this, that it should leave me. But He said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Notice how Paul says here in verse 9, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. And so as we think today about this magnificent theme of the power of Christ, and we think about how He truly is exalted to God's right hand, let us remember that it is when we are weak that Christ's power is supremely demonstrated in our lives. And so let me share this with you as an encouragement. Whatever your circumstances may be at this time, we certainly, as we could say, as mankind in general, are going through a time when we are confronted with our weakness. We have very little defense in the face of this coronavirus. We can take certain mitigating actions, but we really don't have much defense against it. And there are so many knock-on effects, economic effects, and so on, and you might very well now be experiencing some sort of economic hardship, financial difficulty. Perhaps you have not received your salary this month, Maybe you're very frustrated from being cooped up in your house. There are many ways in which you may be feeling your weakness right now. But let me encourage you with Paul's experience and his testimony of the power of Christ. It is when we are weak that we are strong. Because when we are weak, Christ's power is demonstrated in our lives. And it is precisely in this way that God works, because then it is seen that the all-surpassing greatness of the power is from God and not from us. It's what Paul speaks about in chapter 4 of 2 Corinthians. We have the treasure of God's glory in jars of clay. We are jars of clay. We are not strong. We feel our weakness. But God puts His treasure in these weak vessels so that the surpassing greatness of the power may be seen to be from God and not from us. May God give you strength today, whatever your circumstances may be. May He encourage you to know that though you are weak, yet He is strong. And even if He doesn't take away those weaknesses from you, yet He will come to you and He will say to you, my child, my grace is sufficient for you. May you live today not just somehow, but victoriously in Christ, knowing that His grace is sufficient for you. The Lord be with you.